My name's Jeff Evans, and I have been farming at Merton Farm all my life.
Jeff's family have been market gardening the same fields in Merton since his great-great-grandfather Lemuel bought them in 1867.
How Lemuel Thomas, how he managed to get £256 is a bit of a mystery, but he did. It was originally called Mansell Croft, wasn't Merton Farm, and the first thing he did was turn the farmhouse into a pub. So it was the Mansell Arms for 3 years, but he died at a relatively young age, in his 30s, so it didn't remain a pub for long. He had 2 children, again John and Mary, and it was left in trust for them for a while, and they carried on farming.
Market gardening in Bishopston started in the early to mid-1800s. Quarrying at Pwllti and the local oyster dredging was starting to decline. Men were looking for work, and the market gardeners needed help on the land.
I'm Mike Taylor from Oldway in Bishopston, and my family got into market gardening as most of the families living in Bishopston were involved in farming of some sort or another. My great-great-grandfather's brother used to quarry down in Pwllti. Both of them quarried there part-time, and sadly he was killed in an explosion down there when they were blasting the rock. And my great-great-grandfather bought a house with some land around it and started market gardening, Oldway Villa. My grandmother used to tell me lots of lovely stories about growing up on the farm there. William Jenkins, my great-grandfather, had a couple of Shire horses, and he'd take those into Swansea Market. I remember my gran telling me she often used to mitch off school to ride on the neck of the Shire horse to go into Swansea Market. That was a treat. And I would have thought the only reason that Bishopston, apart from the ground being good for easy to grow stuff, good soil, is that is it close to the Mumbles train and to get into Swansea with a horse and cart.
Market gardening was about growing fresh produce for market. With the growth of industry in Swansea, with Copperopolis and the tin plate works, fresh fruit and veg were in high demand.
My name is Graham McNamara Jones. I live in Bishopston, and I was born here in 1935. With the increase in industrialisation in Swansea, there was a huge demand for vegetable growing. So my great-grandfather, his name was William. He acquired the land around about 1880, very long-sighted, in so much that he could see that if he moved to Pyle, it was much closer to Swansea and Swansea Market. Built the house, built the farm buildings, and purchased fields around. And of course then, there along came his son George, and then my father Brindley, and now I suppose I am the 4th generation of farmers and market gardeners.
Jeff's great-grandfather John ran the farm till his death in the 1930s. The farm was split between his 3 children, and Dorothy, Jeff's grandmother, had the middle section. So Dorothy's section then, when the farm was split into 3, Dorothy had the middle section.
Yes.
And that middle section is what
It's what we farm now.
You and your brother.
Yes, that's right. And we can't forget him. Yes. This field behind me now is one of the most fertile fields in Gower. It is unbelievable. But that has probably been farmed for centuries, I think. And so we never know what they put on there. But as I say, they did collect seaweed to use as a first type of fertilizers. And then they collected dung from the collieries, and that was sort of from pit ponies. I think they were getting it from collieries that were further up the valley.
Was it your grandfather's generation then that started selling fruit and veg and flowers in Swansea? Or was it before
Well,
that?
it was before that. We've got a photograph of my great-grandfather taking veg to St. Thomas on his back of his little Ford truck, right?
When would that have been?
Well, that photograph was taken in 1923. How he went down the Mails with a lorry full of vegetables with wooden bricks, I just do not know. It took a brave man to do that, but he did it. And
in the early days, of course, market gardening was all powered by the horse, and everybody would have their own horse or even a pair of horses. It depends how much land you had. And of course, around about 1940, tractors became available, but most of the tractors that the market gardeners bought was after the last war. It's known as the little grey Fergies, and they were the perfect market gardener's tractor. They were quite sort of versatile, and sadly the horses declined rapidly in number, and I think our last horse at Pyle was probably 1948. We had our tractor in 1947. Sad day really, but that's the way it went. That was so-called progress. And of course, tractor could speed up everything, and it meant that fewer men were required on the land.
And then slowly the shops disappeared, and we were faced with going to the wholesale market. And firstly it was Swansea wholesale market. I mean, I can remember going with my father early in the morning before I went to school, and we'd unload the lorry, and very often he used to put the hose pipe over everything to make it look a lot fresher. And we used to get into the market, and the market people used to know exactly what he was doing and say, "Raining again, Reg, in Merton, was it?" And the lorry would be soaking, because he'd try and keep it all fresh, and generally it would be cabbages and all sorts of vegetables on that lorry. The future really, whatever we're in really, is in direct sales. You have to produce something and sell it yourself, right? And something hopefully that the supermarkets can't do. So this is where trees come into it, this is where bedding plants, and this is where the farm shop. The farm shop is only open 2 days a week, but we know, or the customers know, that the stuff is fresh. It's very difficult to open a veg shop and be open every day, because what do you keep the carrots from Monday? Or, right, okay, so you've got it Monday, they think you'll get away with them Monday. Will you get away with them Tuesday? I've got to get some of the same size, see? When they come here, they know that what has been put out in that shop is as fresh as we possibly can do it. We cut cabbage in the morning to sell in the afternoon, and that supermarkets can't compete with that. And there we can survive in doing that.
You don't hang about, do you?
No, we can't. That is how we got to this sort of point. So
and
really,
between
that's
everything, it works.
it's worked, yes. it is a lot of work, and whether the future generations here will take it on, I'm not so sure. I don't know whether they will. It is a lot of work. It's out in all weathers. It's not an easy job. They prefer to be sitting by a computer, to be honest. And to be honest, and some days I don't blame them. But it'll be sad when this day, when the day comes when this is sort of all finishing. And it could happen. It could well happen.